Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. India and France signed 16 MOUs, including one on smart cities. Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeks French investments, announces retrospective tax a thing of the past. US President Barack Obama calls Pathankot attack an inexcusable act of terrorism. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif says Pakistan verifying facts after India has given fresh leads. Union Cabinet recommends President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh. Congress says centre trampling democracy and that party will challenge MOUs if it gets presidential nod. Amit Shah elected unopposed as BJP president for full 3-year term. Top party leaders, including Prime Minister Modi, propose his name. And political crisis in Nepal is set to continue as agitating Madeshis reject constitutional amendments passed by Parliament. Well, let's begin with our top focus on the bulletin this morning. India and France will strengthen their strategic and business relations even as they join forces to fight terrorism. The two countries signed 16 MOUs on Sunday as French President François Hollande arrived on a 3-day visit. Prime Minister Modi also invited French investment in India, announcing that retrospective tax is a thing of the past. Here's a detailed report.
3 MOUs under the Smart City theme were among the 16 pacts signed between India and France on Sunday in Chandigarh. The agreements, which were signed in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President François Hollande, also covered a wide range of sectors like urban development, urban transport, water treatment and solar energy. Hollande also announced France's commitment to meeting India's targets to tackle its carbon emissions.
Les premiers dans l'innovation, les premiers dans la mise en place, les premiers dans le développement. Nous voulons donc participer pleinement avec vous à l'objectif que vous avez fixé de réduire l'intensité carbone de l'Inde.
Prime Minister Modi sought to address concerns of investors, announcing that the controversial retrospective taxation is a thing of the past and this chapter will never be opened again. He announced that France would immediately start investing $1 billion in India annually, which will be scaled up later.
कि कोई भी व्यक्ति यहाँ जब इन्वेस्टमेंट करता है तो उसको पता होना चाहिए कि इसका 5 साल के बाद क्या होगा, 10 साल के बाद क्या होगा, 15 साल के बाद क्या होगा. हम इसको काम करने के लिए तैयार हैं.
Meanwhile, President Hollande played down the prospect of a swift conclusion to the long-awaited $9 billion deal for 3 dozen Rafale warplanes to India. While there were speculations over an intergovernmental framework agreement to be signed, the French president said the countries are on the right track, but further discussions were needed before signing the deal.
Sous forme de renouvelables. Là encore, le solaire sera le domaine principal. M'accompagnent aujourd'hui beaucoup d'entreprises qui travaillent dans ce secteur.
At the meeting, Modi also pledged that India would work together with France to fight international terrorism.
पूरे विश्व को साथ लेकर के, मानवतावादी शक्तियों को साथ लेकर के, आतंकवादी मानसिकता को खत्म करेंगे, आतंकवाद को खत्म करेंगे और एक मानवता के विचार को आगे बढ़ाएंगे और उस काम के आपके संकल्प के साथ भारत पूरी तरह आपके साथ रहे.
Hollande arrived in India on Sunday on a 3-day official visit. He will be the guest of honor at India's Republic Day parade on January 26. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, French President François Hollande, who is on a 3-day visit to India, will be accorded the ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan today. He will later lay a wreath at Rajghat. Following that, he will call on External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. The summit meeting with the Prime Minister Modi at Hyderabad House is slated for noon today. There will be an exchange of agreements and press statements from the two sides following that. Hollande will also inaugurate the International Solar Alliance Secretariat in Gurgaon later in the evening. He will call on the Vice President, followed by the President later in the day. The President will host a banquet for him at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Moving on now, in a strong message, US President Barack Obama on Sunday told Pakistan to take more effective action against terrorist groups operating from its soil. In an interview to PTI, Obama demanded that Pakistan delegitimize, disrupt and dismantle terrorist networks that operate from its territory, adding that there must be zero tolerance for safe havens and terrorists must be brought to justice. Describing the terror attack on the IAF base in Pathankot as another example of the inexcusable terrorism that India has endured for too long, Obama gave credit to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for reaching out to his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif after the attack. While condemning the Pathankot attack, Obama said it showed why the US and India were working together to fight terrorism. Obama also voiced his belief that the Indo-US relationship can be one of the defining partnerships of the century, adding that Modi shared his enthusiasm for a strong partnership. And on a day when the US President termed the Pathankot terror attack an example of inexcusable terrorism, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has said that they were verifying facts after India has given fresh leads on the attack. After arriving in Pakistan from the World Business Forum in Davos, Sharif said, and I quote, "I have received fresh leads from India on the Pathankot attack and we will look and examine those evidences given by India. We could have hidden it or forgotten it, but we asserted that we have received the evidences. We are probing and verifying that. Once we are done with that, we would definitely bring the facts forward. Along with that, we have also formed a special investigating team. They would go to India and collect more evidence," unquote. Sharif has promised further Pakistani action to combat militants, but conceded that progress had often been slow. Pakistani National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Nasir Khan Janjua on January 5th had called up his Indian counterpart Ajit Doval, during which they discussed specific and actionable information related to the Pathankot terror strike. Meanwhile, a senior Pakistani official has said that the Indo-Pak Foreign Secretary talks will be held in February and that the two sides are in touch for finalizing the dates. The senior official of the Foreign Office said that there was some forward movement and the foreign secretaries are expected to meet in February. India-Pakistan Foreign Secretary level talks scheduled for the 15th of January in Islamabad were deferred by both the countries mutually in the wake of the Pathankot terror attack. India has blamed Jaish-e-Mohammed for the attack and has been seeking action against the terror outfit and its chief, Masood Azhar. Pakistan has initiated a crackdown on JEM and formed a team to investigate the evidence provided by India about JEM's alleged involvement. On 2nd January, a group of heavily armed JEM terrorists attacked the Pathankot airbase, killing 7 security personnel. Moving on, now on day 2 of her visit to Bahrain, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj addressed the first ministerial meeting of the Arab-India Cooperation Forum. She called on the world leaders to de-link religion from terror, urging them to unite against militancy. She also warned that those who silently sponsor terror groups could end up being used by them. Here's more.
Addressing the first ever India-Arab League ministerial in Bahrain, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj strongly pitched for de-linking terror from religion. She called on the Arab world to join hands with India in eliminating the menace. She also hit out at countries that sponsor such militant groups, saying the only distinction would be between those who believe in humanity and those who do not.
We must pledge to halt the physical violence that has spread like a plague. But we must recognize that we cannot do so without equally addressing violence in our minds, a poison that has been spread by terror groups, by harnessing the power of modern technology and social media platforms to infect our youth, those ideologies and beliefs that regard one's own brother as a stranger and one's own mother as an accused.
Sushma cited India's model of unity in diversity as an example for the world to counter indoctrination and radicalization.
India's model of unity in diversity offers an example for the world. We in India have citizens who belong to every existing faith. Our constitution is committed to the fundamental principle of faith equality. The equality of all faiths not just before the law, but also in daily behavior. corner of my country, the music of the azan welcomes the dawn, followed by the chant of the Hanuman temple's bells, followed by the melody of the Guru Granth Sahib being recited by the Granthis in a Gurudwara, followed by the peal of church bells every Sunday.
Sushma also sought investment from the Arab countries in India for infrastructure projects, adding that India was ready to partner them in areas such as information and communication technologies, automobiles, and small and medium enterprises.
Our growth, I believe, offers significant opportunities for our best partners. The sovereign wealth funds of Gulf countries can be profitably employed in India's burgeoning infrastructure sector.
Later, Sushma Swaraj also called on the Bahraini Prime Minister Prince Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa. The two countries vowed to strengthen their ties in trade and counter terrorism. She also held wide-ranging discussions with her Bahraini counterpart Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa. The two sides signed an agreement on the transfer of sentenced persons. According to the pact, once an expatriate has been sentenced in the other country, the sentence can be served in the country of origin. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news now, the Union Cabinet has recommended President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh. The decision was taken during a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. The Congress has reacted sharply to the development, calling it the centre's attempt to trample democracy. Meanwhile, rebel Congress MLAs in the state have said that they are willing to form the next government with help from BJP and others. Here's more.
The Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has recommended imposition of President's rule in Arunachal Pradesh.
कांग्रेस ने अपना जो ड्यूटी है, अपना जो दायित्व है, वो नहीं निभा पाया और 6 महीने तक वहाँ सेशन को सही तरीके से नहीं करा पाया और आज एक संवैधानिक संकट पैदा किया है. तो उसको लेकर के कैबिनेट ने जो रिकमेंडेशन किया है वो उसी आधार पे किया है.
The move drew sharp reactions from the Congress, which directly targeted the Prime Minister, accusing him of trampling democracy. The main opposition also called him a fountainhead of political intolerance and said it will challenge the cabinet decision in court if it gets presidential approval.
Central government recommend to the President for imposition of President rule in Arunachal Pradesh. It is a clear case of murder of democracy and violation of constitutional propriety.
इससे गलत कदम शायद कोई सरकार उठा सकती थी, क्योंकि एक तरफ तो गवर्नर ने अपने आप को एम्बैरेस किया है और दूसरी तरफ ऐसा लगता है कि सरकार भी अपने आप को एम्बैरेस करना चाहती है.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal also took to Twitter to attack the central government. He expressed shock at the decision and termed it a murder of the country's constitution.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने संविधान को ताक पे रख दिया है. ये जो घटना है वो दिखाती है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी जब राजनीतिक रूप से पराजित हो जाती है तो अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से वो राज्यों को नियंत्रित करने का प्रयास कर रही है, खासकर गैर भाजपा शासित जो राज्य हैं.
The BJP, however, has rejected any hand in the political crisis in the state, even ruling out any intention to form the next government.
उसमें तो हमारा तो कोई रोल नहीं है, क्योंकि जैसे मैंने कहा कि संवैधानिक प्रक्रिया है और कांग्रेस पार्टी का सरकार रहा है, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी का आपस का लड़ाई और उनका खामियां की वजह से अरुणाचल प्रदेश का जनता को बहुत नुकसान झेलना पड़ा है.
While Arunachal Chief Minister Nabam Tuki expressed surprise at the cabinet decision, the rebel Congress MLAs welcomed the move and said they were ready to form an alternative government with support of the BJP and others. The state was rocked by a political crisis on December 16 last year as 21 rebel Congress MLAs joined hands with 11 of the BJP and 2 independents to impeach Assembly Speaker Nabam Rabia at a makeshift venue. The move was branded illegal and unconstitutional by the Speaker. The Supreme Court has referred a bunch of petitions on the Arunachal Pradesh crisis to a constitutional bench. Ravindra Singh Sheran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue. Each square in turn also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television, where Amit Shah has been elected unopposed as the president of the BJP for a full 3-year term. His name was proposed by several top BJP leaders, including the Prime Minister. Shah's tenure ends in 2019 when the next general elections are slated. Here's more.
Amit Shah has been re-elected the president of the BJP for a 3-year term. The process for election of the next BJP president concluded on Sunday in Delhi. The ceremony to re-elect Shah was held at the BJP headquarters.
मैं अविनाश राय खन्ना राष्ट्रीय चुनाव अधिकारी श्री अमित शाह जी को सर्वसम्मति से राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष घोषित करता हूं.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and virtually the entire top party brass, including a number of union ministers and chief ministers, proposed Shah's name during the nomination process, in which no other leader joined the fray. However, party veterans L.K. Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi were conspicuous by their absence. Altogether, 17 nominations were filed proposing 51-year-old Shah's name during the 3-hour exercise. He was elected unopposed.
मैं समझता हूं एक ही नामांकन पत्र अमित शाह जी का केवल आया तो उसके पीछे सबसे बड़ा कारण यह था कि पार्टी में एक आम सहमति थी. मुझे पूरा विश्वास है श्री अमित शाह के नेतृत्व में भारतीय जनता पार्टी शानदार सफलता हासिल करेगी.
I am sure with the re-election of Amit Shah, the party will march forward and make tremendous progress in the coming days. I am sure about it.
उनका इतना अच्छा नेतृत्व रहा है कि उस नेतृत्व में हम लोग उन सब चुनौतियों को पार करते हुए भारतीय जनता पार्टी अच्छी से अच्छी और ऊंची ऊंचाइयों को छुएगा. तो मैं आज हम सब की ओर से उनको बहुत सारी बधाइयां देना चाहती हूं.
The BJP Parliamentary Board will meet on January 28 to officially put a seal of approval on Shah's election. Shah had taken over charge of the party in August 2014 from now Home Minister Rajnath Singh soon after the Lok Sabha elections. His tenure will end in 2019 when the next general elections will take place. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Shifting focus now, the political crisis in Nepal is set to continue. The attempt by the government to resolve the crisis went in vain as the agitating Madheshis rejected the constitutional amendments passed by the parliament. They say that the purported amendment fails to address their concerns over redrawing borders. Here's a detailed report.
Dashing hopes of an end to the 5-month-long political crisis, the ethnic Madhesis in Nepal rejected the constitutional amendments passed by the parliament. The community leaders say the amendment is incomplete as it does not address their concerns over redrawing federal boundaries.
कानून तथा न्याय मंत्री ने अपनी एक परिमार्जन की जो धारणा रखा है वह केवल कांग्रेस, सेमाले, माओवादी और रपरपा का धारणा है. हम लोगों की धारणा नहीं है. हम लोगों से सुबह से शाम तक कहीं भी सहमति नहीं की गई. हम लोगों के बिना सहमति से जिस तरह से जबरदस्ती संविधान पास किया गया.
Unhappy with the move, the Madhesi parties have vowed to continue the protests against the constitution.
हम लोग जो कर रहे हैं आंदोलन करते रहेंगे. सदन में भी आंदोलन करेंगे, सड़क पर भी आंदोलन करेंगे. इसलिए हम लोगों ने कहा कि हमारा आंदोलन जारी है.
On Friday, the Nepali parliament vowed to amend the country's constitution with a 2/3 majority 4 months after its promulgation. The purported amendment was brought to resolve the ongoing agitation by the Madhesi parties, addressing two of their key demands: proportionate representation and seat allocation in the parliament on the basis of population. When put to vote, the bill garnered 461 votes in favour, while 7 lawmakers voted against it. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you the latest on the suicide of research scholar Rohit Vemula. The HRD Ministry on Sunday appointed Dr. Vipin Srivastava, the head of the University of Hyderabad. Dr. Srivastava takes the place of Vice-Chancellor Professor P. Appa Rao, who went on leave. However, the decision has irked the protesting Dalit students and teachers, as Dr. Srivastava was the chairman of the committee that recommended punishment for the 5 students for allegedly assaulting an ABVP leader last year. In another climb down, the university issued an order on Sunday to terminate the punishment of the 4 scholars rather than suspension of their punishment. At the protest venue, meanwhile, a new batch of 7 students started an indefinite fast after the first batch of 7 were evacuated late on Saturday evening. The campus has been rocked by protests after 25-year-old research scholar Rohit Vemula committed suicide. Meanwhile, Congress has said that it would raise the issue of Vemula's suicide in Parliament, while its student wing NSUI will hold a one-day hunger strike across all state capitals today.
जो अन्याय के विरुद्ध आप जो लड़ रहे हैं, अत्याचार के विरुद्ध जो लड़ रहे हैं, शोषित वर्गों के साथ जो दे रहे हैं, इनके साथ हम हैं, आपके साथ हैं और हम जरूर इन समस्याओं को उठाएंगे.
The Vice Chancellor has gone on leave for personal reasons, and according to statutes, the senior most professor takes over as Vice Chancellor. जो situation है इस समय वो communication gap की वजह से है, और communication gap जो है बातचीत से पूरा किया सकता है, तो मैं उसकी पूरी कोशिश कर रहा हूँ.
Let's get you some news from the United States now, where millions of Americans began digging themselves out on Sunday after a mammoth blizzard brought much of the U.S. East Coast to an icy standstill. New York lifted a travel ban as mass transit started getting back to normal. However, air travel remained disrupted. The storm is now said to be weakening and heading for the Atlantic Ocean.
Residents in many East Coast cities of US started digging out on Sunday after a massive blizzard paralyzed the region. With the weather clearing up, New York lifted a travel ban as mass transit started getting back to normal. The storm dumped about 26.8 inches of snow in New York, its second highest snowfall since records began in 1869.
The travel ban has been lifted. That does not mean people should go out and take a ride and see the sights. The roads are clear for the most part. There are still entrance ramps and exit ramps that are not clear. There are still situations where cars are getting stuck on highways. So let's not misinterpret the travel ban.
However, airports in the region were deserted and flights were delayed or remained cancelled for a third straight day. Some 7,000 flights were cancelled across the eastern US during the weekend, and the disruption is to continue into the working week, with at least 615 cancelled for Monday.
I'm really stuck. I'm stuck. I don't know any person here. I've been in US for 10 years, but I don't know any person here in New York. I don't know.
Workers at the White House also began clearing out the executive mansion grounds, removing snow from walkways and laying salt down on ice. The US House of Representatives has postponed a vote on legislation due to bad weather. People resumed work after days of standstill.
It was one of the worst ones, yeah, because I wanted to do stuff yesterday and I couldn't do it, you know what I'm saying? I went to work and I had to leave work early, you know, because I work 7 days a week.
The storm, dubbed as Snowzilla, walloped a dozen states from Friday into early Sunday, killing at least 28 people and affecting an estimated 85 million residents. The storm is now said to be weakening and heading for the Atlantic Ocean, but top officials have warned that danger lingered even as the storm headed out. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Right, here's a roundup of the other international news in our segment World Wrap. Greece's Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras celebrated on Sunday 1 year in government, saying the battle to bring the country back on track was not over. At a rally to mark 1 year in power, the Prime Minister said that the debt-laden country still has battles to fight to end the crisis. Tsipras had won the January 2015 national election, promising to cancel the bailout programs the previous governments had agreed with EU and IMF, but was forced to secure a new bailout and avert a Greek exit from the Eurozone. Syrian government forces say that they have seized the last major town held by rebels in western Latakia province. The town of Rajya was in rebel hands for 4 years. The province is a stronghold of the Alawite community to which President Bashar al-Assad belongs. Syrian state media said that engineering units were combing the area to deactivate bombs and mines planted by the rebels. Russian forces reportedly played a key role in the recapture of Rajya. Almost all of Australia's state and territory leaders have signed a document in support of the country becoming a republic. The state premiers of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania and the chief ministers of Northern Territory and the Australian Capital Territory signed the document in favour of replacing the Queen as the head of state. Australians had voted against becoming a republic in a 1999 referendum. The Islamic State has posted a video apparently showing 9 of the suspected Paris gunmen before they carried out the 13th November attack. The footage shows some of the men beheading prisoners and conducting military training in the Middle East. It also shows locations that were attacked in the French capital, leaving 130 people dead. France's foreign ministry has declined to comment on the video. Moving on to some sports news now, and news from the Australian Open. Andy Murray will aim to maintain his 100% record against Australia's Bernard Tomic when the pair meets in the last 16 of the Australian Open today. World number 4 Stan Wawrinka will also feature in the 4th round match against big serving Canadian Milos Raonic. On Sunday, defending champion Novak Djokovic survived a scare against Gilles Simon to reach the last 8. Five-time champion Djokovic made 100 unforced errors but prevailed 6-3, 6-7, 6-4, 4-6, 6-3. Four-time champion Roger Federer also advanced to the quarterfinals after beating Belgium's David Goffin 6-2, 6-1, 6-4. In the women's singles, defending champion Serena Williams set up a quarterfinal clash against world number 5 Maria Sharapova after both won their 4th round matches in straight sets. 4th seed Agnieszka Radwanska also reached the last 8. Meanwhile, it was a good day for India as well as Leander Paes and Rohan Bopanna advanced to the second round of the mixed doubles event with their respective partners. However, it was curtains for Bopanna and his partner Florin Mergia after the pair lost in the men's doubles 3rd round. More sports news now. India have defeated arch rivals Pakistan by 44 runs in the final to lift the first blind T20 Asia Cup title at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Kochi. Pakistan entered the final unbeaten in the tournament, having defeated India by 19 runs in the group stages. Batting first, India put up 208 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in their quota of 20 overs. In reply, the Indian bowlers skittled Pakistan for 164 runs to become the first champion of the blind T20 Asia Cup. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a good day.